What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. Big time welterweight matchup tomorrow night. The venue is the Mandalay Bay Event Center, the house that Oscar De La Hoya built, as he had several big fights there. It'll be interesting to see what a Golden Boy promoter be in attendance for this fight tomorrow night, as he's been at the last two big pay-per-view events involving PBC fighters. He was at Wilder Fury 3, and he was also at Canelo Plant Undisputed fight. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. It's just a quick nugget that I just threw that in. People didn't know about it. The Mandalay Events Center, you know, basically used to be the home of Oscar De La Hoya and all his big fights. When he was the cash cow boxing, he was a pound-for-pound fighter. With all that being said, man, we got in one corner, we got Terrence Crawford, who is the WBO welterweight champion. Number 2 on my pound-for-pound list. Got bumped down from number 1 when Canelo became undisputed in the super middleweight division. And due to the activity of him fighting the champions at that division, man, I had to bump him ahead of Terrence Crawford, who's been very inactive. Hadn't been seen in the ring since he fought Kell Brook earlier this year. He'll be taking on Shawn Showtime Porter, former 2-time welterweight champion. He's been in there with the who's who in the welterweight division. He's fought Kell Brook. He's fought Keith Thurman. He's fought Errol the Truth Spence. He's fought Danny Garcia. He's fought Devin Alexander. He's fought Paulie Malignaggi. He's fought Andre Berto. He's fought Julio Diaz twice. You know, we talking about the Julio Diaz, a prime Julio Diaz, who was a very good fighter. A lot of people got Julio Diaz kind of mistaken to how he finished his career out, man. He was a shell of his former self, but when Porter fought him, he was one of the top fighters. He was a top 10 fighter in that particular weight division. Let me just say that, when Porter fought him. A lot of people thought he lost the first fight. That was a draw. I think at that time, Porter didn't know how to win at that level. But he learned how to win at that level, and he was able to get over the hump against Devin Alexander. And he's, to this day, been one of the top welterweights in the division. A lot of people say he's a litmus test to Terrence Crawford. And I believe that is the case, but I believe he's much more than a litmus test, man. Shawn Porter is a Hall of Fame fighter. Make no mistake about it. So when you talk about litmus test, gatekeeper, you know, you talking about guys like Derek Chisora, guys that, you know, hey, you beat him, you can say, okay, I might be ready to fight for a title. But Derek Chisora ain't no Hall of Fame fighter. Derek Chisora is what you call a gatekeeper. Derek Chisora is what you call a litmus test. I think Shawn Porter is one of the best welterweights in the world. So I don't want to really just kind of downgrade him, saying what other people saying, oh, this is a great test for Terrence Crawford. No, this is a great fight. This is one of the best fighters in the welterweight division. Look at his resume. Everybody say, well, shoot, every time he fight the top fighters, he come up short. I don't know if that's the case, because he beat Danny Garcia. You know what I'm saying? So he did win one big fight. He beat, I forgot to mention his name, he beat Yordenis Ugas. At that time, Ugas wasn't no champion, but Ugas was one of the top welterweights in the division. He beat him. So all this old talking about he ain't never won a big fight, he always come up short. He put up a good effort, but he just can't get over that hump. I think that's a false narrative. Shawn Porter is one of the best fighters in boxing today, ladies and gentlemen. And he's going against the number 2 pound-for-pound fighter in Terrence Crawford, who I had number 1 before Canelo was able to become undisputed at 168 pounds. Crawford is what you call a switch hitter, got power in both hands, got a great jab, and is the smartest fighter in boxing today, bar none, Terrence Crawford. I wish they would do a list, make this list up, of the guys with the highest boxing IQs. Have a ranking in the sport of boxing. And I guarantee you that Terrence Crawford, he ain't at the top of the list, he should be at the top of the list. They should do a ranking, man. That should be a new ranking they should come up with. The highest boxing IQ fighters in boxing today. I guarantee you my top 3 would definitely be Terrence Crawford, Gervonta Tank Davis, Canelo Alvarez, and Shakur Stevenson. That'd probably be my top 4, actually. Those 4 fighters would definitely be in the top 4. And then you could probably got to round out the top 5 would be Devin the Dream Haney. All 5 of those guys are guys with high boxing IQs. Now, I'm going to break this fight down, man. This fight's got a lot of variables, man. A lot of people are selling Shawn Porter shorter than a midget on his knees. It's almost like this is, you know, for a fight that they say ain't going to be fight of the year, pretty much all the analysts and all the experts are picking Terrence Crawford. And a lot of them are picking by stoppage, which is surprising. It's not so surprising that they're picking him to win the fight, but a lot of people are picking him to stop Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter's never been stopped in his entire career. And if Terrence Crawford is able to pull off that feat, that's going to be another feather in his cap, man. And that could, man, in my opinion, bump him back up to number 1. If he's able to stop Shawn Porter, he's going to have a strong argument to be number 1. Because Shawn Porter has never been stopped. That'll kind of be like Canelo Alvarez stopping Triple G. If he was able to stop Triple G when they fought those 2 times. If he stopped Triple G now, you know, that still be a feat, though. Everybody talk about how old Triple G is. He still ain't never been stopped. So that'll be the equivalent of Canelo Alvarez stopping Triple G. When you talk about a guy that's been fighting on a high level and ain't never been stopped, and you be the one to stop him, you got to give that man a whole lot of credit. Now, this fight is a very, very interesting matchup, a very good stylistic matchup. Let's start with the champion, Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is a switch hitter. But I think in this fight, he needs to stay orthodox more than he go southpaw. Because I think if he do go southpaw, I think Shawn Porter going to jump on him. He's not going to allow him to stay comfortable or get comfortable in a southpaw stance. The one thing about it is no matter how great he is, he's one of the greatest switch hitters in the history of boxing. No matter how great he is switch hitting, he's much more comfortable in an orthodox stance than he is in a southpaw stance. Make no mistake about it. Even though he can switch fluidly, he's much more comfortable in the orthodox stance. So when he goes to the southpaw stance, which I don't know if he's going to go there, I think he actually going to fight more orthodox in this fight. And I think the only way he switches to southpaw stance is if things are not going well. Kind of like in the Kell Brook fight. You know, he came out in that fight orthodox, and then he switched to southpaw stance, and that basically set up the knockout when he's able to stop Kell Brook. And Kell Brook did a good job of jabbing him not only to the head but to the body. And when he went southpaw, that kind of set everything up for the land that hook to get Kell Brook up out of there. He actually just used Kell Brook aggression against him. Kell Brook was coming in with a lot of force, using the jab to the body. He actually caught him coming in, and he timed him. He wasn't even really a hard punch that he threw. It was just like a little short hook. And he was able to get Kell Brook on Queer Street, and he was able to finish him off on the ropes and retain the WBO welterweight title. But as far as this matchup goes, I think he's got to be more orthodox, use the jab, control range. And one thing about Terrence Crawford, he's a very underrated body puncher. You need to call him a body snatcher. Who they call a body snatcher? Is that they call some boxer that was a great body puncher. They call him the body snatcher. I can't remember the guy's name. His name does not come to me at this moment, but they need to call Terrence Crawford the body snatcher. He's a very underrated body puncher. Very underrated body puncher. He was able to come undisputed at 140 pounds by going to the body. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But very, very interesting matchup, man. But he's got the control distance. He's got to use the jab to make Shawn Porter reset. When Shawn Porter tries to fight on the outside, that's when he's got to use his longer reach to keep him on the outside. Force him to want to come inside. And that's by using the jab. Terrence Crawford has power in both hands. One of the greatest hooks in the sport of boxing today and in the history of boxing, because he can throw wide hooks and he can throw short hooks. He can throw hooks going backwards. He can throw hooks for you coming in. A lot of guys need distance to throw hooks. No, Terrence Crawford don't need distance to throw hooks. He can throw short and long hooks. This guy is a complete fighter, great jab, great body puncher, great counter puncher, can bang with you. The guy really ain't got no weakness. The only weakness he got is his aggressiveness and his doggedness can be a weakness because he likes to go for the knockout and he leaves himself open. If he fought like he fought against Felix Diaz, he can make this fight a lot more easier. Now, a lot of people have made a bad comparison trying to compare Shawn Porter to Felix Diaz. Nah. No. That's not a real comparison. This fight not gonna be nothing like Terrence Crawford versus Felix Diaz. Only thing that Felix Diaz and Shawn Porter got in common is they both short. Because Shawn Porter is way more versatile than Felix Diaz, way more athletic, got better footwork, and basically have a better jab than Felix Diaz. Felix Diaz is a guy that comes in a straight line. So Terrence Crawford was able to pick him off and have an easy night at the office against him. It's not going to be like that with Terrence Crawford. It's not going to be like that with Shawn Porter. Because Shawn Porter ain't coming in a straight line. He coming in through the side door, the back door. He coming in through the garage door. He coming in from all kind of different ways. He coming in from different angles. He giving you different looks. He's coming in from a very unorthodox angle. The way he throws punches is very unorthodox. It's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. I think this fight is more comparable to the Terrence Crawford versus Yorkis Gamboa fight. I think this fight going to look a lot like that fight. Because Gamboa, like Shawn Porter, likes to jump in and get off his combinations. The only difference between those two guys is Gamboa fights more in spurts. He was jumping in with combination, and jumping right back out, but he wasn't consistent with it. Shawn Porter gonna be more consistent with it. He's gonna jump in, he's gonna stay in, he's gonna try to mug and bogart Terrence Crawford on the ropes. But I think this is where Shawn Porter gonna be real surprised at. I think he's gonna be surprised at how strong Terrence Crawford is. He think he's gonna be able to easily bogart Terrence Crawford to the ropes, and that's not gonna be the case. I think he's gonna run into a wall. I think he's going to find out what Jamel Herring found out against Shakur Stevenson when he tried to bogart Shakur Stevenson against the ropes. He ran into a brick wall. Couldn't move Shakur Stevenson. As Shakur Stevenson was moving and pushing Jamel Herring back. I think that's going to be the case in a Terrence Crawford-Shawn Porter fight. I think Terrence Crawford going to be pushing Shawn Porter back. I think he's going to have Shawn Porter on the ropes. He's going to do with Shawn Porter kind of like what he did with Joe Horn. He's going to bully the bully. I think you're going to see that in this fight. Errol Spence Jr. did that too in the fight with Shawn Porter. He was able to back up Shawn Porter at times too, but he wasn't consistent with it. He wasn't having a lot of success with it at the level that Terrence Crawford had success with in the Joe Horn fight. And I think that's what Terrence Crawford gonna do. Now Shawn Porter is definitely gonna have to mix it up. He's gonna have to box when Terrence Crawford thinks he's gonna come in and brawl, and he's definitely gonna have to brawl when Terrence Crawford thinks he's gonna come in the box. He's gonna have to mix it up, man. He's gonna have to be what you call a pitcher in pitching. I'm gonna throw the fastball when you're looking for the off-speed pitch, and I'm gonna throw the off-speed pitch when you're looking for the fastball. I think this was gonna Shawn Porter gonna have to do in this fight, man. It's a very intriguing matchup. Shawn Porter throws a lot of punches, but he's not very accurate. He's gonna have to make his punches count more. He's gonna have to sit down on more of his punches. He's gonna have to throw the type of punches that do damage like he did in the Paulo Malignaggi fight. Paulo Malignaggi was a guy that was a slick fighter, slick boxer, was coming off a big win against Zab Judah. And Shawn Porter absolutely destroyed him. Beat Paulo Malignaggi unlike any other fighter that had fought Paulo Malignaggi. Not even Cotto beat Paulo Malignaggi in the fashion that Shawn Porter did. So you got to give him a lot of credit, man, beating a guy at that time it was on the top of his game. Very intriguing matchup, man. I like Terrence Crawford to win this fight. I think he's just a complete fighter. I think he's gonna bully the bully. I think the jab's gonna be a key factor. I think he's gonna catch Porter coming in multiple times. I think he's gonna rock Shawn Porter. I think he might even drop Porter. I don't think he stops Porter, but I think this fight's gonna be like a combination of the Terrence Crawford Yorkis Gamboa fight when he dropped Yorkis Gamboa multiple times and ultimately stopped Yorkis Gamboa, but I don't think he's gonna stop Shawn Porter. He could stop him. If he do stop him, it'll be late. I think it's gonna be a combination of that and the Keith Thurman Shawn Porter fight, as Keith Thurman was able to catch Shawn Porter coming in with looping right hands. He hurt Shawn Porter multiple times. And we talking about this is the time Keith Thurman was truly one time. He was knocking guys out. He was putting guys to sleep like he was giving them NyQuil at that time. And Shawn Porter was able to take those shots. Even though he was buckled, he never went down in those two hellacious shots that he took from Keith Thurman. He never went down. I think he got caught 2 times, maybe even 3 times, but 2 noticeable times he got caught with some overhand shots by Keith Thurman, and you can see that they had an effect on him. You can look at his body language. They kind of buckled him, but Shawn Porter's got so much heart, and he's got a great chin. Keith Thurman wasn't able to do the damage to him with those shots that he did with, guys like Diego Chavez and, guys like that, when he's able to stop guys like that when he started landing those type of shots. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But Keith one-time Thurman is heavily rumored to get Terrence Crawford. He's able to get by Shawn Porter. That would be another pay-per-view fight. That would be another fight involving a PBC fighter. I think Terrence Crawford at this fight will be working with Top Rank on a fight-by-fight basis, similar to when Bob Arum promoted Marvin Hagler on a fight-by-fight basis, and he also promoted and worked with Miguel Cotto on a fight-by-fight basis. I think that's going to be the same blueprint that'll happen between Terrence Crawford and Bob Arum. So we will see what happens, and we will damn sure see what transpires, man. Very, very interesting matchup. Very interesting matchup. Now, Shawn Porter is able to get the victory and pull the upset. I think some fights that he'll be getting lined up with is he can get a Keith Thurman rematch too. Keith Thurman is sitting in a catbird seat, basically. I think he gets the winner of this fight regardless who comes out the winner of this fight. I think PBC was looking to make this fight actually before the WBO mandated that Terrence Crawford must face off with the #1 contender Shawn Porter next. They was negotiating a rematch between Porter and Thurman before all that transpired. So I think Keith Thurman is the front runner for the winner of this fight. And it should be very, very interesting to see how it all plays out. A lot of people say that Terrence Crawford, stubbornness might get him in a bad shape in this fight. As he's gonna get hit in this fight, and he's gonna want to respond. He might get into a firefight that he don't need to get into. But the thing I think people missing is in a firefight between him and Shawn Porter, he's got more firepower than Shawn Porter. It'd be a different thing. He get in a firefight with somebody that got more power than him. He's getting in a firefight with somebody that he got more power than. So I think either way, he's gonna come out victorious, man. Terrence Crawford is a great fighter, great champion. I wish he just was a naturally bigger guy, because I would like to see him fight Canelo Alvarez. I believe he's probably the only guy in boxing right now that would have a chance, that would beat Canelo Alvarez. Both guys were the same weight, in my opinion. I was talking with a guy after Canelo defeated Plant, everybody, and he was like, man, who can beat Canelo, man? Canelo, man, he ran through the gauntlet in 168 pounds. He beat Triple G. Who can beat him? And I was like, if Crawford was big enough, he could beat him. A lot of people say, well, why don't Crawford do like Canelo do? Move up in weight. Canelo moving up to cruiserweight. Why don't he move up to maybe a super middleweight and challenge Canelo after he's through at Mabuga, which is ASA 9, ASA 10, ASA 11, and ASA 12, because I'm going to tell y'all right now, Canelo not going back to no 168. That's the reason why he's moving up to 190. He was weight drained in that fight with Canelo, with Caleb Plant, ladies and gentlemen. You look at how he looked, he did not look like the same Canelo. He did not look like Canelo that fought Billy Joe Saunders. That Canelo that fought Billy Joe, he was on top of his game. He was seeing everything. He was fighting at a breakneck pace. This fight here was more of a moderate pace, more of a slow down pace. I ain't gonna say a slow pace, but it wasn't at the breakneck pace. I ain't gonna say breakneck pace. I'm maybe using the wrong word. It wasn't at the pace or at the level of where he's fighting Billy Joe Saunders. Like he's fighting a guy that was probably more slicker than Billy Joe, a naturally bigger guy. But I'm just saying how he fought Canelo Alvarez, and he did not fight at the same pace and the same level that he fought against Billy Joe Saunders. And I think that was due to the fact that he had a hard time losing that weight to get to 168. Because on weigh day, all he want is a weigh day. All he want is a payday. But we talking about weigh day. When they had that weigh in, he came in at 168. Caleb Plant who had been in that weight class much longer than Canelo Alvarez, came in at 167. So that led me to believe that Canelo, if he didn't have no problem making that weight, he would have came in at, because he's been fighting at as low as, 140 pounds? He probably came in at 167, like Caleb Plant at 166. He came in right at 168. Canelo Alvarez had a hard time making that weight, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's moving up to cruiserweight. And I think he look at the light heavyweight division. He's like, look, they got some killers at 175. They got some hard punches. Do I want to go in there with a Joe Smith who knocked out Bernard Hopkins, knocked him out the ring? I want to get in there with him. I want to get in there with Better B that knocked out Vasek, who had just come off a victory over, what's my boy from Superman from Canada? He almost died after that fight. He took a hellacious beating. But Better B stopped him. So he's a puncher. You don't want to get in there with him. Bivol, who is a very technical fighter that has underrated power. Do you want to get in there with him? Yeah, so he probably said, let me go in here and fight this guy named Mabuka, who's a cruiserweight, but it's not a big cruiserweight. So I'm not going to come in there with that big of a size disadvantage as people think. I can sell it like that, and I go in there and get me another belt and be 5 division world champion. I think that's what actually transpires. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts on who you like in this particular matchup. Terrence Crawford versus Shawn Showtime Porter. The consensus seems to be that Terrence Crawford will win this fight. Pretty much all the experts have picked him to win this fight. But at the same time, they say this is a fight of the year candidate. So that's the different scenarios that could play out. That's the different statements. That's what they call it. That's the contradiction. What they call it, the oxymoron. No, I think if I'm butchering that word in this scenario, when you talk about fight of the year candidate, that should be involving 2 fighters that are evenly matched, and you might have 20 experts, so you might have 10 picking one and 10 picking the other fighter. That should be the fight of the year candidate in an evenly matched fight. But in this fight, they're talking about that could be a fight of the year candidate. If you ask 20 experts, all 20 of them gonna say Terrence Crawford gonna win the fight. So that's the weirdness, as a lack of a better word, of this particular matchup. And that's the intrigue of this particular matchup, man. Can't wait to see it tomorrow night. Let me know your thoughts on who you like in this particular fight. And subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.